Now, this is the Renault Twizy. At £6,500, it's the UK's cheapest new car. Except, it's not really a car at all. Check out these crazy beetle wing doors. We'll be taking the Twizy out onto the streets of central London, its natural environment, to see if it really is the future of urban transport. The Twizy is about 2.5 metres long, and it's not much wider than a motorbike, and the seats are arranged one behind the other. You can probably just about see our cameraman Matt there in the back. The Twizy uses a 17 brake horsepower electric motor to give a top speed of 50 miles an hour and a claimed range of 62 miles. However, in our tests, we found that a range between 37 and 50 miles is more realistic. Driving the Twizy feels quite strange at first. This version's actually got the optional £550 doors, but there are still no windows, so you're quite exposed to the elements, and you'll need to be prepared for plenty of attention. But luckily the controls are really simple. There are no gears, so it's just accelerate, brake and steer, and you'll soon be zipping in and out of traffic really easily. Electric motors produce all their torque or pulling power from a standstill, so the Twizy actually feels quite quick, up to about 30 miles an hour. And it's brilliant fun. The steering is really direct, so you can dart around corners like a go-kart. Unfortunately, the ride quality isn't such a strong point. It's very firm, and there's almost no padding in this seat, so it's lucky you'll only be using it for short journeys. The Twizy is also too wide to filter through traffic like a motorbike, and although here in central London you escape the congestion charge, you can't use the motorbike lanes, so it's not really that much quicker than a normal car across town, and certainly slower than taking the tube. You'll need to wrap up warm in winter too, but think twice about leaving your coat in the car. The 31 litre compartment behind the rear seat is barely big enough for a hat and gloves. As for carrying a passenger, well, they'll have to sit with their legs splayed around the front seat like this, which isn't very dignified, especially for ladies. But on the plus side, you do have a seat belt and it's quite enclosed back here, so it certainly feels safer than riding pillion on a motorbike. In the front, there's a 3-point seat belt, plus a second shoulder strap to hold you in, and the steering wheel even has an airbag. You can recharge its batteries from a normal household socket. A full charge takes around 3.5 hours and should cost less than £1. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is all very well on a hot sunny day like this, but what happens if it rains? Well, the short answer is you get wet. For such a small manoeuvrable car, visibility isn't as good as you might expect, not least because there's no rear window. You can specify parking sensors as an optional extra though, along with a Bluetooth kit, coloured bodywork wraps for the exterior, and even a weatherproof blanket. No amount of accessories though can upstage the radical design of the Twizy itself. It's a style statement, and it turns more heads than supercars costing 20 times as much. Cost, of course, is the other main reason to consider a Twizy over a normal car, especially for younger drivers. A start price of less than £7,000 is impressively low, but there is a caveat. You have to lease the batteries from Renault, which cost £45 a month or more, depending on your mileage. You can sell your Twizy and stop paying the lease at any time, but that's still a minimum extra £500 a year to consider. Insurance isn't especially cheap either. In Britain, the Twizy's lack of weather protection could be more of an issue than its limited range. This video would look very different after all if we'd filmed in January rather than July. Despite our reservations though, it's hard not to fall for the Twizy. It could be a huge hit or a monumental miss, but it's so radical and so much fun to drive that it